Welcome back, Baja fam, to another episode 4 of Shifting Perspectives, the Baja Beach Wellness Diaries. How are we feeling, guys?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Feeling great. I'm your host, Jill Gregro, and we hope that you guys are enjoying this podcast as much as we are. And sidebar here, just to start it off, we definitely want to hear from you guys. We want to know what you're feeling, how you're feeling about the podcast, what you want to hear on the podcast. If you want to be a part of the podcast, definitely let us know. Definitely let us know in the comments. Send us a DM. Let's get this thing popping. Let's keep it rolling. Today, if you guys are viewing on YouTube, you will see that we still have Amy and Angela here. Amy and Angela, how are you guys feeling?
Good. Pretty good.
Good?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Are you excited for today's topic?
We're glad fall's here.
Oh,
that kind of relates to today's topic.
Yeah, we love it. Fall.
Fall.
And we have a new guest here, Wendy. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you.
This is where we do the claps. Yay. All right, guys. So Wendy is our Director of Training and Development. And Wendy, I'm going to let you give a little introduction of yourself.
Okay. So next month will be 4 years that I interviewed and started with Baja.
Love that.
Started very, very part-time with Angela as my salon leader at Fifth Street, just cleaning beds, learning the ropes. Loved it so much, came on full-time. I was the salon leader at the Fifth Street Salon for a while. And now I'm here in a corporate role. So loving Baja. My kids got a little older, out of the house, and I needed to be needed. So
And you are
now my
you are loved.
We do need
Oh, yeah.
Wendy, we need Wendy.
Yeah.
We love that. Well, welcome, Wendy.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining us today. We are definitely in need of your expertise for today's episode.
I don't know if I should be flattered or
We got the greats in here. The
elders.
The elders. The Baja elders. All right. So today's episode might scar me. I'm a little terrified for today's episode, but I'm also excited about the education that this episode is going to give me and provide to women all over the world here and also to the men. So we have so much to discuss. Definitely want to start this off with a definition from Merriam-Webster. To quote, menopause is the period, no pun intended, of life when menstruation permanently stops naturally. That usually occurs between the ages of 45 and 55. So now I'm going to open it up to the floor, to the ladies in the room. What does menopause mean to you guys?
Oh, that's seriously it.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I said. That's all Miriam had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess by definition,
That's it.
when I say my, before we started rolling, my definition would be just leave me alone. Let me feel what I'm feeling. Let me say what I need to say and don't question it because I probably don't know what I'm saying or doing right now either. Like,
Yeah.
it's so many things. So many things.
Yeah. What do we got over there?
turbulent.
Yeah. One word.
Pure chaos.
Chaos.
I think it's important to talk about, there's menopause and then there's perimenopause, which we're in the perimenopause group right now. Because menopause is once you haven't had a period for a whole year.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're in, and I it's not that it's smooth sailing once you hit that point, but I feel like perimenopause might be a little more of a roller coaster than once your hormones start evening out again.
Yeah. When do we feel like perimenopause starts? Let's start from the beginning roller coaster. And
so my perimenopause, everyone's journey looks a little different.
Okay.
So I actually had a hysterectomy.
Mm-hmm.
They cut my ovaries.
Okay.
But I had a hysterectomy at the age of 31 after I had my son, due to precancerous stuff showing up. And so I haven't had a period since 31 years old. It's been glorious.
Wow.
It's glorious.
Oh my
I mean, yeah, now,
so when you get a hysterectomy, there's no period.
None.
Gosh.
Yes.
Take my hysterectomy out.
It's great for a couple of years,
Mhm.
right? And I remember I had a male doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I will reference that a couple of times with my story. And he drastically improved the quality of my life. It was something that needed to be done. And yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, is this going to have me go into menopause earlier than maybe what the average woman goes through?
Mhm.
I said, absolutely not. That's why I kept your ovaries in there. Perfect.
Love
you
it.
know, great. And it was around the age of 35, 36 years old, I started to notice some changes.
Mm.
And I remember my mother chirping in my ear, that sounds like what I went through when I was going through menopause.
Mm.
And she said, Angie, I went through menopause at an early age, but it never really clicked. So I started with the weight gain.
Mm.
And going back to the previous podcast, right, with body image, I
Yes.
was working out like a fiend. I was monitoring my caloric intake, my macronutrients, and nothing was working.
Mm.
You know, then throw in the breast pain. All of a sudden, I had these sharp pains in my breasts and felt for lumps, nothing. So I go to my gynecologist. Something's up.
Yeah.
Like, we're gaining weight.
What's going on?
I got breast pain. You know, my emotions are a little out of norm, you know, and could I be going through menopause? Am I starting it? Absolutely not. Are you sure? Like, it was just making multiple appointments, and he said, well, let's run a blood panel. Perfect. I think I got like 13 different tests. Okay.
Wow.
This was back in 2020. And
oh, perfect time to get this done.
actually, no, I lied. Let me back up.
Yeah.
He sent me to endocrinology
Mm-hmm.
to prove that I was not, going into menopause.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to endocrinology, like $1,000 in blood tests later.
Mm-hmm.
He says to me, you are the healthiest 38-year-old I've ever seen on paper. Your blood work looks as though you're 22 years old. Well, here, knowing what I know now, your blood work may not show up as being in menopause, depending on what day you get it.
Depending
on,
on
like,
the hour. It can change by the
it's
hour.
like,
wow.
so again, I was completely shut down.
Wow.
So what do I do, Star?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do? Well, if you want to lose weight, eat less and work out harder.
Here we go, 800 calories.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm
Yeah.
literally showing him my app. Like, how much more do you want me to work out? How much less do you want me to eat?
Yeah.
And it was, well, how skinny do you want to be? I don't want to be skinny, but
Right.
there's like bloat, there's breast. Oh, your breasts are fine. I went for a mammogram, all that stuff. Everything came back normal. Then I got a prescription for Wellbutrin.
Mm.
So this will help, curb all your emotions. And plus it's a little bit, I think, of like a stimulant, like Wellbutrin helps, some people that have looked to lose a little bit of weight. I know doctors have prescribed Wellbutrin. Like, oh my gosh, like this guy is not taking anything I'm saying seriously, right? And a couple of years went by and it wasn't getting any better. If anything, my symptoms were getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
So it just dawned on me. And I feel like my mom even said it too. She's like, maybe you need to change gynecologists.
Mm.
I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Like, I'm done with the penis.
Yeah.
Like, I love men. I mean, if you know me, I love men. I love men. I love men. But I'm done with the penis.
Yeah.
I want someone who has a vagina.
Yeah.
Because I have a vagina.
And they understand me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, in trying to find a great woman gynecologist, this was post-COVID. So there was like a mass exodus of gynecologists in this area.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rhyme or reason for that is, but my PCP put me in contact with a great gynecologist.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, this person's awesome. She thinks outside the box.
Yeah.
So I went to her and she ran blood work later because it was a couple of years since and my estrogen was a little bit low. My testosterone was a little bit low. And she's like, you still look healthy on the blood work, but let's treat the symptoms.
Mm.
We're not going to treat the blood work. We're going to treat the symptoms. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Hallelujah.
Like, she listened to me. She's like, you're doing all the right things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you look healthy, but let's try to take a different approach with this. So I got on a small dose of estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
Worked well for me. And then she put me on some testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some HRT. And it was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. But I I did so well with the testosterone, right? That my levels like shot through the roof. I showed Wendy my levels of the testosterone of how low it was, and in 3 months it like skyrocketed. So the testosterone we took me off of, okay, because I was getting the side effects of like
Right?
a little bit of that irritability.
Yeah.
I was growing hair, but then my hair was frying, and I'm like, yeah,
I
no,
was gonna
I
ask about the
love my
hair.
hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we're not. I ended up having to get 4 inches cut off because my hairdresser. We were trying to figure out why my hair was like just looking like. She's like, oh, you're on testosterone. That does affect, your hair.
No chin. No
Yeah,
chin hair.
no. Oh, I still got that. Oh yeah, like I can still probably pluck one now. But yeah, it was just,
Wow.
those were just some of my symptoms. But the brain fog, the not knowing what day it is, losing your thought mid sentence, losing your sex drive, having like losing my sex drive, like no way, like that is not something I want. And then when things are starting to dry up down there, like the Sahara Desert, like forget it. Like no, we gotta
keep it
goosey this
rolling.
thing up. Yeah. So for me it was like it took going to a woman who was in my age bracket, and getting her input, and also just a different look at everything and listening to me.
Yeah. I love, and that goes back to the body image thing that we talked about too.
Yeah.
Like understanding 5'6", 180 pounds. Like that's what I need to be following. Women gynecologists, like shout out mans for doing what you're, men for doing what you're doing. Like going to school for what you're doing. Like, okay, but you're not understanding what we're going through as women.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah. For switching. Go ahead. You guys go. Let's go through
I would have to say that it really does depend on the doctor. I've had
male
I've
gynecologists.
had women gynecologists that, like, it's just the way, it's to be expected. To be expected. We can try this or whatever. And, estrogen cream, for the dryness and that kind of thing. I've been there, done that. If you read the pamphlets that come with that, there's some scary stuff in there. The FDA has done a really good job of scaring us and thinking that if we use estrogen cream down there, we're going to end up with cancer. So, I actually was listening to a podcast, and menopause, and said that, 20% of the women who do say, yeah, give me the prescription, let's do this, end up not using it once they read that pamphlet inside. There is a big petition right now of trying to get the FDA to take that out of that pamphlet, because it really is just topical.
Right.
But even though my doctor told me that, I'm like, and my husband said too, he's like, hey, I'd rather that you're here. Yeah. And get cancers. Don't do that.
Right.
So I did, and then I didn't. But now I'm kind of like, well, maybe I need to start again. It just, you've got to make your own decisions. But even women doctors, go, well, it's to be expected. Yeah. And I said to these ladies, I am the oldest person here in the room. I am a Gen Xer, and raised by those parents that, I think at our age that most of us women are going through this right now, we were raised in an era that you suck it up. You don't talk about it. Our parents didn't really talk. My mom's awesome, but she didn't talk about all of this stuff. I know what some of the things that she dealt with. Even before she was in menopause, I know how hard it was for her. And God, I didn't have a lot of problems that she had, but, she had a gynecologist, her bleeding was out of control, and it wasn't even when I was a kid, before she was in perimenopause, but, would say, well, just hang in there. You're so close. She was like, can we do a hysterectomy? And, well, just hang in there. You're so close. If you can just put up with it for a little longer, it's better to wait, and she did, but it affected her everyday life. It affected her work, and it affected her being able to go places, do things, it was so bad. So, she wasn't listened to either. But, the point is, I saw the things she went through. Thank goodness I have not had the same thing. So it's not necessarily hereditary, but, you don't talk about those things, and you just suck it up. And I guess I just have to deal with it. Yeah. And it's unfortunately it is.
Is there like a decision to be made with the hysterectomy? Like why would a doctor tell you no for a hysterectomy?
I know for her, she was, I want to say she was like early 50s, and the problems that she was having even started before that. A lot of times, if you do a hysterectomy too early, you can have your bladder can fall.
Oh, okay.
So you need to have surgery to tuck that up in there.
Yeah.
I know somebody who literally could
You got a tuck?
feel her bladder.
Did I get a tuck?
Yeah,
I did not get a tuck. It's high and tight.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's some things with that, and of course, the hormone issue
Okay.
that goes with it and all that. So
Yeah.
that's what she was just hanging there, and
Wow.
she was okay. To my knowledge, my mom didn't have a whole lot of other issues. I don't have a ton of the heat flashes. I get the opposite. I get cold. You're freezing cold, and I've read that that's a thing. Anything you feel at this age, you Google it, it's a symptom of menopause. It is. Anything. It's kind of like COVID at that point. Anything you felt during COVID, that could be COVID. Hangnail COVID.
Yeah.
But it's anything that you're feeling, sense of taste, so many different things. Anything could be menopause, so you kind of ignore things. I had a situation because I am very low, suck it up. And, doctors saying, oh, it's normal. I was feeling some things. My heart was racing. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. I felt like my blood pressure was going up. My legs were swelling, and I ignored it because everything that I Googled and diagnosed myself with was a symptom of perimenopause. I ended up with blood tests. My red blood cell count was so low. I needed a blood transfusion. My doctor called me and said, you need to get in, pack a bag. You need to go to the ER. This was not this past July, but July before. And I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, but I put it off, and I dealt with it because I'm like, well, this is just
my
how I
parents
am
said,
now.
Yeah, just put it to the side, suck it up.
It's how I am now. And so, I guess my message would be like, push it. You don't ignore these things and Google things, and just because you're a certain age. Because if I would have been 35 and I would have been Googling my symptoms, I wouldn't have waited so long.
Yeah.
But because I'm the age that I am, and, this is the way you are now because you're a woman, congrats.
Yeah.
Yippee! Yeah, you just ignore the things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely push it.
Amy, I know you go through some symptoms. Because I know, girl.
Well, my journey with perimenopause actually started last fall, very abruptly. I woke up, it was 5 a.m. I was living alone at the time, got up to pee, was walking back to my bedroom, and I got a little dizzy. And I was like, that's a little weird. And I proceeded to lay down in my bed, and I thought I was having a stroke. All of a sudden, everything in the room started spinning like I had like a case of beer. Like it was spinning. Then it started to go back and forth, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having a stroke. Of course I didn't call 911. I called my best friend.
Of course.
So as I laid there freaking out and talking to her, I said, wait a second. I think I have vertigo. Because I had never experienced that before. And I don't even, it was very scary. I thought I was having a stroke. So I laid there. I waited till about 8 o'clock. I called my sister because she lived close to me. So she came over and took me to urgent care. And, they did like an EKG to make sure I wasn't having some sort of stroke or anything like that. They did a whole bunch of tests. And I said, I think it's vertigo. And he said, I think you're right. And I said, well, what on earth causes this? Because I do not want to ever go through this again. And he said, looking at your age, it's probably a perimenopause symptom because of your hormones. And I'm like, what the hell? Because I was a very healthy person at that point and had no other symptoms. I was, moving and grooving. I was fine. And that's when, ever since that day, last fall, I've had vertigo one more time because apparently, once you get it, you usually get it again. But vertigo, like Wendy said, the heart beating really fast and hearing it in your ear. Can't drink wine anymore if it's after lunchtime because I will not sleep. Not sleeping, waking up at 3 a.m. And your mind literally, I have never had anxiety in my life. I am not really an anxious person, here and there.
Yeah.
But waking up at 3 a.m. and your mind just switches on and everything in your life that might have an issue with, you're thinking about it at 3 a.m. and your mind like races, and it's insane. It literally is insane. It's bananas. I can't even tell you how bananas it is. But yeah. So yeah.
I'm in shock. That is crazy. What other things do you guys go through? Like, what else do you guys like go through? Nighttime, like what else? Talk about it.
Oh, you're hot.
You're
like
hot,
Wendy's cold. I'm hot all the time.
It depends. Like, I will wake up at 3 a.m. though, because I go to bed and I'm freezing, bundle up and everything. And I'll wake up 3 a.m. drenched in sweat. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, and it's so interesting because the more you read about it, we all have different symptoms, and that all relates to different hormones being out of whack. And like, if one hormone's out of whack, it throws another hormone out of whack, and that's why low tolerance, that's a big thing too.
What is that?
Low, you don't have tolerance for anything.
No patience.
Like, no patience, no tolerance. You're constantly here with your level of how much you've had. This is your level of I've had enough.
Yeah.
You're constantly up here.
Yeah, like if somebody's ever talking to you and you're trying really hard not to blurt out, because in your head it's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. I just stop talking.
Yeah.
I'm done. Like, I just don't want you talking about.
But you guys like weren't these people before this perimenopause.
No, I mean, sometimes PMS, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of perimenopause symptoms are very closely related to PMS symptoms.
Okay.
That irritability, you get the hot flashes and stuff too. But then, you get the hot flashes now and you start thinking thoughts that, maybe you're more emotional. And I know for me, like, my symptoms of PMS were more just the bloating, the breast tenderness, the cramps, maybe I'd be a little irritable. I didn't have the anxiety, thoughts kind of thing. I wasn't a crier. I'm not a crier. I absolutely hate to cry.
Yeah.
I will avoid situations to cry as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't read books that make me cry. I don't watch movies that make me cry.
Yeah.
So I find myself, I am. But I find myself now getting more emotional, and I don't know if it's menopause kind of stuff or it's my age, because you two get to a certain age too. I don't know if you ladies feel it yet, because you're younger than me, but you get to an age you're seeing your parents' age, you're seeing the kids grow up.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm gonna fucking cry.
Second brother of the podcast.
Where's the tissues? Yeah.
They call us, my age, like the sandwich generation, because you were maybe still kind of have kids that you're raising.
Yeah.
My kids are 27 and 23.
Yeah.
My youngest still lives at home. She's getting ready to move out, and that's all cool. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm happy for her. But now, I have a grandchild now, so I'm kind of helping out there. But at the same time, like, I'm very fortunate. My parents were very young when they had me, so they're in great shape. But I can see what's coming. I just lost my last living grandparent. I saw what my mother went through. So they call us the sandwich generation because we're still
seeing both,
dealing with our kids, but we're also trying to start taking care of our parents and you see what's happening. So you're already emotionally raw because of your hormone level, and then you see what your life is going to be, and it's a tough spot to be in. It really is. So, if you can kind of treat the perimenopause symptoms, maybe get your mind straight a little bit more with that, you might be a little more ready to do other things. What is coming for you. But it's a tough, depressing spot to be in. It really is, unfortunately.
And I feel like it's almost like a, I don't want to say you have an over emotional reaction to things, but I've noticed, because I'm a very big self-reflector, so I do still have that pause where I'm like, is this just your perimenopause talking? But I feel like I can even recognize that sometimes I have an overly emotional reaction to something that I really shouldn't, but it's almost like I can't help it. Like, I got lost on the way to dog training one day with our dog and had like a meltdown in my car because I was going to be 5 minutes late for the dog training. And my poor dog's looking at me like, Mom, are you losing it? Like, it's just it's like a weird place to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one day you can have that reaction And the next day you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care.
I'm so glad
That's part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you said that because I'm just thinking I think Brent doesn't know how to react to me sometimes because things that would excite me or I would get passionate about, I don't like to say the word anger me or get me frustrated. Things that would get me passionate don't now.
Oh.
I'm like, whatever. And then like the little things that I used to ignore are now a big deal.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, wait, who are you today? Or who are you in this
Angela
moment?
1, Angela
like,
2,
yeah,
Angela
like
3.
what's okay. I'm just, like just buckle up. We don't know. Buckle up.
Goes back to my definition. Just leave me be whatever I'm going to be today.
Yeah.
Just don't question it.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
One day you're full of love and light, and the next day you're just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. But to kind of piggyback off of Angela's point, she doesn't know, he doesn't know what Angela he's gonna get.
Yeah.
I think it is so important for us to start to, and I have noticed this on social media that more men are starting to take
I want to get
interest.
into that.
Yeah, and talk about what is going on with their women, because the more that you can be prepared for this in life and know that it's going to happen, the more you can navigate it together.
Right.
Instead of, just being like, my wife just went off the deep end.
Yeah. Now I'm at the bar, my wife is going crazy, and like, she's not crazy. This is what women go through. And like back in the 1900s, you're at the bar and your women's going crazy. But now in 2025, like, we can talk about this and we can get through this. And now we can be more educated on this because we're more educated on this. So let's talk about this. You guys all have men. We love that. I'm single, but I'm also 29 and not perimenopause. So I'll get there. But you guys with your men, like, how is this going? How does this work? Like, are they educated? How is life? Like, what does this look like?
Well, I am blessed I feel like I'm blessed. There is a 15-year age difference between my fiance and I.
Love
so he's 15 years older than I am.
Mhm.
So he's at a little bit different point of his life than I am. So he does have that laid backness to him. He was also an emotional support teacher for 29 years. So
Patience.
I think, yes.
Yes, patience.
I that helps as well.
Mhm.
And I honestly, I feel as though, especially with certain symptoms that I've been seeing and also some therapy that I've been addressing, it's trauma. We have a very good relationship when it comes to that openness.
Love that.
So I didn't have the conversation with him yet about, what happened last evening in bed. That's a whole other podcast regarding pelvic floor. I think you ladies know where I'm going from. I mean, I didn't wet the whole entire bed. But let's just say I didn't get out of bed in enough time. But no, he's very supportive in that way. But then at times he's just like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know, like, do I need to get you a bourbon or am I packing my bags? Are you packing your bags? Like what's going on? So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The support, the patience. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take it.
He scratches his head some days.
Baby steps. What do we got, Amy?
Well, I am with the most polite, patient man.
We love that.
That's one thing that made me fall in love with him. He's like the most polite, patient, most gentlemanly, man that I've ever met. And I think I'm very open to what's going on usually with, like, we went to a concert on Saturday night and I was like, oh, can't drink anything else. It's past 5 o'clock. And he just like thinks it's funny, but he understands and listens to, he knows I have to go to bed early and I can't drink past a certain time or I won't sleep. He's very understanding in that way. But I'm also very open with things.
Yeah.
So
you just pick the right person.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the lesson. When you tell me.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin and I definitely approach almost everything with a lot of humor. He's He's my best friend. I mean,
Aww.
no, seriously, I've known him.
I
know. But,
How long have we been with Kevin?
So I've known Kevin since I was 13.
Wow.
We dated a bit off and on in high school. That's a whole big story. But I was with someone else. He was engaged. He was with somebody else. And, and all of a sudden my phone rang and he's like, I need a friend. If you want to hang up on me, you can. And I'm like, no, Kevin, what's going on? Like, we hadn't talked for 2 years, but I knew it was him right away. And then we just and here we are. We've been married for it'll be 31 years.
I love it.
So
yes, Kevin.
Yeah. So he is awesome. And Kevin, I'm not just saying this to suck up because you're gonna listen to this podcast. But no, he gets it. He understands what I'm going through. If we dive into the big S word,
we can dive into the S word.
Definitely affected.
Okay.
I know he's frustrated. I'm frustrated too.
Yeah.
But he's also very understanding, and it's.
I mean, let's dive into the S word. How does perimenopause affect sex?
It makes you like the Sahara Desert down there.
Damn it!
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I know it's not everybody. Yeah. But it can happen. And, and then it's back to the estrogen cream. And do you trust it? And do you not? And, it's a conversation that he and I have had together. And he's like, no, I don't want you to do that. And it's going to do with the rest of certain things. We'll deal with it, Yeah. But I don't have any problems. I'm not uncomfortable on a regular basis. But to be perfectly blunt, and I said this to her earlier, when it comes to sex, it feels like you put on a sandpaper condom.
Damn.
To be brutally honest.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
That's horrible.
It is. And, there's different, what I have read and what I understand and talked to my gynecologist about, there's a difference between being dry and what they call vaginal atrophy. Vaginal atrophy is the literal, thinning of the skin. So you think about anything that's thin can tear very easily.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
So it's like gripping.
So
Yeah.
So there's
being a woman, man.
Yeah. So then you're also I think naturally it makes your libido dip. And I was listening to a podcast over the past 2 days. Driving around in my car to gynecologists, 2 doctors, talking about that. And, there's that stigma that, well, if your libido is low, what's wrong with you? Nobody ever looks and says, well, your libido is normal or high. What's wrong with you?
Right.
So the person in the relationship that has the lower libido, there's something wrong with them. And then that's upsetting to you. Right. And it's not that. And I think probably chemistry-wise in my body, this is my own diagnosis, that I know there's something going on there. So probably that makes me not even want to. Right. I know that it's gonna hurt. It's a very psychological thing too. Right. And it's not that I don't love him. It's not that I'm not attracted to him, but
I literally don't want to have sex because I feel like I'm sandpapered.
Right.
Like, what is happening?
And
it's not enjoyable.
Right. And to also be very honest, yes, there are other ways that you can connect. Yeah, there are other things you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's still
15 of ways to attend.
Remember those pamphlets like they gave us in school? 100 ways to make love without actually doing it.
I do not remember that. I know what school did you go to? Whoa.
Or I don't know, it might have been church. I
that sounds like a never mind.
No way.
There are other things, but then for me, it drives home the fact that I can't do all of it. Right. And I feel that that's disappointing. It's disappointing to me. Yeah. I feel like it'd be disappointing to him. Yeah. And he'll argue with that. But, it is. It's there's so many things going on in your head. Yeah. And, if you listen to anybody, sex is not just physical. There's a lot of things that have to go on psychologically to get you ready for that. Yeah. So that's
and not only are you thinking about that one thing, you're also heat flashes and you're also sweating and you're also cold and you're also anxiety and you're also this and that. Like us women are going through, not me at this moment. Like, I don't wish this to start at 35 anytime soon on me anytime, but like, we're going through a lot of things, and like, women do come, like, we are also stronger as well. Like, we're doing things as well.
And it depends on what kind of life you lived.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I've had 2 kids.
Okay.
You know, I was a stay-at-home mom for a lot.
I was going to ask that.
long
Does that affect
times.
as well?
I mean, for me, I think you get to a point that you're touched out. You know, your kids are always on you, and I know this can happen for younger moms too. You've been doing all the things. You've been running the house. You've been running the kids. You have to keep everything in your brain. Like, you have to eat all of those things. So you get to a certain age that you're just like, I'm done.
Right.
Like, I want it to be about me now.
Right.
You know, and you know, no offense. I still want to do for my kids, so I'm still trying to play that role while I'm also look at me. I'm working full time. Like, I didn't do that for a lot of years. And then you have some guilt, you know, that you're like, and that doesn't have a whole lot to do with menopause. I understand that, but you know, it's all related. So you get all that menopause stuff on top of everything else you're feeling when you get to a certain age. That you feel like, you feel guilty. Am I being selfish? You know, I'm trying to give to my kids.
Sandwiched.
Yeah, I'm trying to give to my kids. I'm trying to give to my parents. I'm trying to give to my house. I'm trying to do all the things that I always did. But now I want to have a career too. I want to do things for me because I know that, you know, it's like time's running out. You know, get to a certain point. Like, if I never did that, I'm probably never gonna.
You know,
I think, you get in your 40s and you're like, or I should say mid 40s. I think it pretty much starts, but it's like you're at a difficult part of your life where maybe you have kids leaving the nest, maybe you have grandkids, maybe you're, you know, it's already a difficult part of life. And then all of a sudden you get your hormones start getting messed up. And it's just like, it's like one thing on top of another thing. And, you know, there's that statistic, women commit suicide more between the ages of 45 and 55. And it's like, that's the highest rate in women of suicide is 45 to 55 in that perimenopause, menopause thing, you know, and it's crazy. You know, we have cars that can drive themselves, but we can't fix this problem. I mean, we can fix this problem with HRT and everything. But it's just crazy to me that we're not putting more emphasis on this. I mean, I do think we're starting to, and I really find, like I said, I've been seeing a lot of guys talking about perimenopause and menopause on the internet, which is so great because I think as a society, we're trying to start to understand that this is probably, you know, a really rough time, especially for women.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. Wow.
Yeah, it's in perimenopause. It's, for me, it's just a mixture of emotions. You know, I can, for me, like when I'm thinking about it, it's like, okay, yes, like, you know, for me to get that hysterectomy, it's like, woohoo, like no more period, like awesome sauce, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Save money on tampons.
Yes, you know, and then, you know, like what I'm feeling right now is the heightened anxiety, or when a hot heat flash comes about, it's like, okay, is this a heat flash or am I having a panic attack? You know, and I'm opening the freezer door and I'm shoving, you know, the frozen peas that go in the freezer to die and get freezer. I'm like shoving them in my clothes to kind of calm down. And I'm playing these games in my mind and trying to talk myself off the ledge. Is this just a heat flash, or am I having a panic attack, or am I having a heart attack? Like, which is it? You know, and the next thing you know, you end up in the ER and they're like, no, yeah, you're fine. You know, and then.
But you're not.
But you're not.
You're really not.
Just
perimenopause. And then you're like, there's days you can't form a sentence. You can't focus. You can't concentrate. You're like, wait a second. Like, I'm just trying to watch, or I'm trying to just do this one simple task, and it's like there's tons of swirls going on.
Yeah.
And then some days it's laughable. I mean, you know, going back to sex, I remember, you know, like when I first started drying up a little bit down there and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, KY had a product and I called them jelly beans, you know? They were jelly, they were like little balls of lubricant, right?
Yeah.
And you just like shoved it up there and you did it like pre-date or like 20 to 30 minutes before you were about
Warmed
to
it
get
up.
it on, and your body's heat like broke it down. So it was more like a natural lubricant.
Yeah.
But I'm like laughing to myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe like this is
Like I have to do this.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
You know, and it's all these different emotions and feelings. You want to laugh, you want to cry, you want to scream, you want to scratch your head. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I think though that talking about it is because it's been, kept under the radar for so long because nobody wanted to talk about it.
Mhm.
And I think now that more people are talking about it, it's almost like, you have a better support system because this happens to every woman.
Yeah.
Every woman goes through it to some extent with different, let's take our 50 symptom list of things that happen. You're going to probably have 10 of them. Like you might have the first 10. I might have the second 10. You might have the third 10. So I think it's super important that you talk about it, but also, what we do here at Baja, we have all these different wellness services.
Yeah.
You can make it better. You can support your body as much as you possibly can. You know what I mean? It's going to be one thing if you're drinking a bottle of wine every night. Yeah, you're going to feel like crap. Like, if you're not like detoxing, if you're not taking care of yourself, there's so many reasons and ways that we can help our bodies go through this process.
What are those ways? Like, what are things that you guys do to alleviate those symptoms, and then also tie in the things at Baja? Because the saunas, the red light, the cryo, it all helps with the sleep, the detoxing, all that stuff.
Yes. So I've spoken a few times in some videos regarding cryotherapy and the benefits that it can assist you with in menopause symptoms.
Okay.
So especially with those hot flashes, cryotherapy also does help your body release a natural melatonin, which helps us sleep. And it also helps regulate hormone levels, and can be a natural testosterone booster. It all supports and assists that, right? We can't make medical claims, but they're all very great benefits.
Studies show.
Try it out. It's natural. I know that I got off of my estrogen. I'm going to be completely transparent here. I got off of my estrogen because I was doing the services here on a routine basis. And then fell off the wagon. Stopped taking care of myself. Ignored me. Everybody else was priority, right? And then what happened was I started getting those symptoms back. And so then, sought out my gynecologist again. Hey, I think it's time that I need to go back on that estrogen again. So I'm trying to, again, work on that routine. Baby steps, not too much at one time, but build that routine of getting into cryotherapy, infrared light therapy, the infrared sauna pod, and
and even with the cryo too, like the dopamine hit, the mood, like you guys go through these crazy mood swings, like that could also help as well. I love that.
I definitely noticed, my algorithm is filled with, all kinds of stuff about menopause. But one of the biggest things is that, when you start to get to this age and the menopause starts to hit, it can really affect your hips. For women, our hips get tight first.
Okay.
So you lose that flexibility. So lower back and hips is a big thing that I deal with. And I was like, one day I was like, I'm just going to jump into cryotherapy, see if this helps. Like I need to start getting in it a little bit more. And it did. And, started doing it regularly. And then it was a moment where, because I've tried to stay off of the estrogen, I'm really not on any replacement therapy. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, is this all I had to do? Literally just go in here for 3 minutes, like every other day?
Reduce the
Like, why
inflammation
didn't I
in your
do
gut.
this before?
Yeah.
And, it definitely gives you a more natural thing to try before you're going to sign up for all kinds of medication and all that. And just the relaxation and I'm left alone, because sometimes, you just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
So, you pop in there for 30 minutes in that sauna pod and nobody can touch it right now.
The sauna pod is
Saving
definitely,
grace.
I go in there with my noise canceling headphones and I put on meditation music and I come out of there in 30 minutes and I am so calm and so just like relaxed. And, you know, I mean, the elite red light therapy that helps with your mitochondrial function. Cause like, you know, as you get older, your mitochondria like are just, you know, kaputzed kind of, you know, so that helps with that and like your sleep cycle and everything like that. So I'm anxious for us, like in future episodes. I'm trying to get my friend Becky on to talk about hormone replacement therapy and menopause and some different options because she is like definitely the local expert in all of that. So hopefully we can get her on because like you were talking about the estrogen cream, you know, there are a lot of options for women. But again, we've been so scared, and I'm pretty sure, like, don't quote me on it, but all of the negative press about hormone replacement therapy came from one study, the Women's Health Initiative, like back in the day, and they literally took this one study and like made everybody scared to get hormone replacement therapy from it. But it ended up being, I just read about it. Somehow it was because they were giving hormones to like people who were already through menopause. So it's like really as time goes on, like you're going to have, okay, in your 40s, you might need this kind of hormone replacement therapy. And then as you get older, you might need this hormone replacement therapy. And it's really like different for different people. So I'm anxious. Hopefully we can get her on and have her talking about some different options too.
So we got a series going.
We have a series. There's so much to say about this. And I feel like it'd probably be good to get maybe some of our men on here.
Yeah,
some different, you know.
We're going to phone them in.
They're seeing things from a
We're gonna
different perspective.
Dialing them in. I want final thoughts. We're going to wrap this one up. This is part 1 of our menopause series. But final thoughts, what do we got? Wendy started off. All I know my final thought is buckle up, guys. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You know what? It just you take it one day at a time, and you just gotta be honest and say like, hey, I'm going through it right now. I'm just going through it. Tomorrow maybe I won't be. Tomorrow I might be laughing, but today I'm not. You know, and it's just you'll get there.
I think you just have to realize it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, I've always been the type of, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to age. I'm not going to, you know, and then just one day, boom, here it is. Like, hello.
Let's just hope by the time I'm 40 that AI just like takes over and we can just hope that everything's just good. I don't know.
I'm sure there'll be many more options for people.
My final thought is talk about it.
I like that.
Until you started going through it and became vocal about your experience with the vertigo, I never really talked about it with anybody.
This is my first time talking about this with anybody. So I really appreciate you guys.
And it's not that I didn't want to talk about it with anybody, but I think some people just have different opinions. I know a few times I tried to, and it's like, well, you're too young. Am I? You know, every body is different.
Right.
So I think opening up those conversations with your friends, with your PCP, with your gynecologist, you know, if you start feeling as though something's off, you know best.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you start your period. If you could be 11, you could be 12, 13, like you don't know. And like, it's like, well, we don't know when we want to talk about it. Like now we're grown women now, like, now we get into perimenopause.
And that's just the ending, but everything's gonna be fine. You know, everyone else is gonna. It's they're either going through it, they're coming out of it, or they're about to approach it like you.
So, and I'm gonna find a nice, sweet, patient man.
Nice, nice,
start
educating man
now.
Yes. Well, thank you, ladies. Wendy, thank you again for joining me.
Thanks, Wendy.
Absolutely. And you guys stay tuned for part 2 of our menopause series. Thank you all for listening on Spotify and watching on YouTube. We are signing off from the Shifting Perspectives podcast, the Baja Beach Wellness Diaries. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.